Resident Evil Village is coming May 7th, 2021, and to give us our first taste, the PS5 now has the Maiden demo, a small slice of what we can expect from the latest in the series. Built, of course, using an updated version of the RE engine, you'll get a taste of what you can expect for next-gen Resident Evil as you escape a dungeon, enter a creepy mansion, and face off against one of the daughters of the Countess. Seeing Village plans to feature a larger open world the designers consider a character in itself, multiple enemies you'll face off against in packs, I'm left feeling both excited, but it leaves me wondering how the engine will keep up after seeing the Maiden demo does indeed dip at points to sub 4K 60fps. I have some theories on how they'll address this, which I'll get to in just a moment. First, it should be noted that the demo focuses on the character they call the Maiden, but in Resident Evil Village you'll once again be in the shoes of Ethan Winters as Chris Redfield turns his life upside down.
Why?
You'll encounter enemies who wield weapons, travel in packs, and you'll interact with villagers just trying to survive the day. I predict it not going well for them. This is going to be taxing on the engine if the demo is lurching already, so how could they offer a smoother experience? Producer Peter Fabiano did state that the demo doesn't feature combat or the blocking mechanics, so I'd imagine that this is their chance to show off the engine graphically, and it is quite impressive, but obviously they will adjust as necessary for the full release. And we'll get another look at what they do with a separate new demo coming sometime this spring on all platforms. But back to Maiden. I opened talking about those 60 frames per second dips in combat, but you have to remember that nearly the entire Maiden demo does run at a locked 60 frames per second at native 4K resolution, which is incredibly impressive. But as Maiden doesn't feature a lot of action, it's clearly a technical showcase highlighting what they've been able to do with lighting, resolution, and art direction with a few scares here and there. I've seen this FPS issue brought to light by many on social media already, so how will they handle those dips? Well, during TGS 2020, director Morisama Sato pointed out that he is more concerned with the moment-to-moment experience, stating that he's focused on what do I want to make people feel and when. To accomplish this, the plan is to work with the team to make the appropriate visuals to convey those things. The RE engine used here has also been used for Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, and Devil May Cry 5, but for Resident Evil Village and this Maiden demo, the RE engine has been optimized for next-generation consoles. I think we got a peek of what it can do with the recent Devil May Cry 5 push to 120 FPS on Series X and PS5. With that context, I'd imagine that for this demo, subtle dips to 50 frames per second are okay. Looking forward to those massive open areas, I'd imagine the team will utilize dynamic resolution scaling as they have in the past, and dip that base resolution down to 1800p to keep it looking as nice as possible while locking around 60 frames per second. Devil May Cry 5 released earlier this year with next-gen optimizations that allowed it to push all the way up to 120 FPS, so I think that they can solve for this in the coming months. In addition to the frame rate, this demo also features other impressive qualities like subtle ray tracing, which can be noticed on the marbled floors, and according to art director Tomonori Takano, the lighting is completely different from RE7, which they take the opportunity to show off in the first area you'll see after escaping the dungeon. It's really quite beautiful and somehow still exquisitely sinister at the same time. The one aspect that caught me off guard, which I think is an easy fix, was the low texture quality on the doors. You'll notice it when you get close to them, and as they're a staple of the series, with danger lurking just beyond, I hope they get to address it, as they're currently looking a bit muddy. Other than that, the demo sets a lofty expectation for the full release of Village. For previous generation consoles, and noting Digital Foundry's original findings here, Resident Evil 7 targeted 1080p at 60 frames per second and hit around 40 to 60 FPS. But the Xbox One X did hit native 4K at 60 with the PS4 Pro running around 1800p at 60 frames per second. Fast forward to Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 3 where both handled frame rate amazingly well and set a bar for expectations on those platforms. Village is developed with next-gen consoles and PC in mind, but the goal is to bring similar satisfying experiences to players on PS4 and Xbox One, according to director Tsuyoshi Kanada. With their history in mind, I would be surprised to see anything less than what they've already shown is their standard of quality. When it's all said and done, this demo really impressed me and gave me a good excuse to dive into all the Resident Evil Village trailers, learn more about the RE engine, and listen to what the developers have said about Village so far. Any engine that can push native 4K at 60 frames per second with ray tracing with HDR lighting is going to knock your socks off if the jump scares don't do it first. I cannot wait to see what launch has in store for the series. I'm your host Destin, and if you've watched this far, thank you for watching. For more on all things gaming, keep it right here on IGN.
They're coming again!